that has been playing on my mind is which is better or which is better suited for the urban riding conditions in India.
And then you will come across situations like this when there will be a lot of traffic, if it's an office day or stopping in a signal like this, and then you will face an odd speed breaker, and then suddenly something odd would happen. Your friends will suddenly leave the main road, I mean the A road, and take the B road. I want to talk today about a topic that has been playing on my mind since quite some time. Not quite some time, since about a month, since when I actually purchased my Scrambler 400X. And it's a very interesting topic, very relevant and very pertinent with the current trend of motorcycling in our country. So let me reach my destination, my favorite cafe, and I'm going to talk about it at length with you. And of course I welcome your opinion and your views on the things that I have to say about. So when you are an urban rider, you will face situations like this in a city like Bangalore or any other for that matter. You will face by-lanes which are nicely paved, not bad. So you will be sailing through on any motorcycle in this kind of lanes, okay? Not a problem. Suddenly you will find an odd scooter or a taxi emerging in front of you. You need brakes that are powerful enough, strong enough. Most of the bikes nowadays have dual channel ABS 150cc and above, so you will be comfortable with the brakes. But then on an odd occasion you will also come across roads like this, and they will emerge out of no other, because you do not know all the terrain in the city. So there will be broken patches, and you need to just you will not have time enough to react and slow down over them, or probably it will be chock-a-block with traffic unlike it is now, and you will not have a visibility of what lies ahead. So what makes sense? What kind of bike do you think makes sense in such situations? Yeah, and of course then again you will be proceeding on your journey, and you will be facing roads like this which are evenly laid and nicely laid roads, not a problem at all, unless you come across another patch, another broken patch or another pothole that could be big enough to rattle you, or may not be big enough to rattle you, but to at least unsettle you on your bike. So that's the kind of urban riding conditions that we live in. They are not necessarily off-road conditions or dirt road conditions, but they nonetheless require some amount of taking a beating capability of your bike. And then you will come across situations like this when there will be a lot of traffic, if it's an office day or a normal working day, or even sometimes on weekends. Everybody seems to be taking their vehicle out, and you'll find a huge queue of snarling traffic in front of you, and you need a bike or a vehicle that is nimble enough, and that is why these scooters are so popular. The Activas, the automatic Activas and the Jupiters, etc. have become so popular. They are nimble, they are small, and they are convenient because they are automatic. And that's why probably the Chetak and the Priya and the traditional geared bikes has actually faded into oblivion, because they do not offer the convenience of an automatic scooter. You understand what I say? So there's a reason to everything. So convenience is key. So even for your bike, you will require it to be nimble, so that you can filter through pedestrians like I'm doing right now, or you can filter through traffic, or you can filter through, navigate your way to unruly traffic conditions like this. Right now you see there is no traffic police, and everybody is kind of trying to figure out which is the shortest route they can take. So you will be traveling in this kind of situation as an urban rider. So you need your vehicle or your motorcycle to be nimble enough to be able to do all these things and navigate easily. When you stop in a signal like this, you will find people around you, bikers around you. You will find people in their cars, and these are the situations when probably you will have the opportunity to secrete some endorphins. You know what are endorphins? So they are basically hormones that are secreted by our brain and make us happy. So it makes us happy when people actually look at your vehicle, look at you and admire you. And मन ही मन में कहता है वो कि wow, what a wonderful bike. And apart from these situations, what I said, you will also face situations when you are actually waiting at a traffic signal and ahead of you is a smooth tarmac like this, and it's a relatively open road, and you have a couple of bikes waiting just side by side. And then the naughty racer inside you, or the little boy, the little racer inside you wakes up suddenly, and you are interested in doing a sort of traffic signal MotoGP. So you will need your bike to be fast enough to race ahead of the crowd. I am not suggesting you do that, okay? This is not a racing channel, but this will also help you secrete some endorphin from time to time when you actually win a traffic signal MotoGP. So your bike has to serve a number of different purpose, okay? It's not just riding or crossing the highways, it's not just riding in the city, not just riding in the dirt roads or B roads. It has to be a number of purpose that your bike must serve. Sometimes when you ride in the outskirts of the city, you will face nice open stretches of road like this when you should be able to do decent speeds, 60, 70, 80 km per hour, and your bike should be able to, put up with your requirements. Then suddenly what will happen? You will come across a place where you will face some rumble strips. That's when the government wants you to slow you down, but you don't intend to slow down. You want to stand up on the foot brake and just roll over those rumble strips like I did just now. So your bike should be able to allow you that kind of comfort when you have to actually stand up on the foot pegs and be comfortable in your riding stance, in your saddling stance. So that's also another requirement your bike should serve. Saturday or Sunday or that odd weekend, you decide to hit the outskirts of the city and you decide to hit the highway. You want to travel to a nearby destination or a faraway destination, whatever it is, and you find this fantastic tarmac, the sun ahead of you, and you would like to ride in the horizon. That's when you would like to hit the rev limiter, and if you have your friends accompanying with you, then you are done for, because you don't want to be the last one to be reaching the destination 15 minutes after they have finished their breakfast. No. So you need your bike to be fast enough to probably be among the first few to reach the destination. I'm not asking you to race, but it happens when you ride in a group or you are riding with friends. So then your bike should be able to just pick up speed at the twist of the throttle and do triple digit speeds easily, because there are good enough tarmac in India right now where you can hit triple digit speeds for a very, very long time. So right now I'm in 80, you can see how soon I can touch 100. Just a twist of the throttle. $100, $120, not a problem. There's this lovely patch of highway when you have beautiful scenery on both sides. You have a lake, a water body, coconut palms on both sides, mountains in the background, and you would just like to maintain a constant cruising speed of about 100, 110 km per hour. So your bike should be able to do it with a plum. And as you soak in the tarmac, you soak in the beautiful music, your machine emanates, you ride into the sun, and you forget all your pain, all your pleasure, all your problems, everything seems to vanish for that brief span of time. That's the beauty of motorcycling. That's the beauty of hitting the road on two wheels. And then you will face an odd speed breaker, and you should be comfortable enough and you should not be even feeling it that you crossed a speed breaker and you did not even brake. So that should be the quality of ride that you should be able to enjoy on your two wheels. And then suddenly something odd would happen, especially if you're on one of those weekend rides with your friends. Your friends will suddenly leave the main road, I mean the A road, and take the B road. You know what I mean? That there is actually no road, like I'm doing just now. So you go to the unpaved roads, and just for the heck of it, no great deal. You might shave a few minutes, but that's not the real reason. The real reason is you would like to feel those cobblestones, unpaved paths, the dirt, everything beneath you. And this is what your bike should be able to do, just because you would like to soak in the beautiful scenery around you. Look at the scene around me, the beautiful water body, the mountains in the background. If I had not taken the B road, I wouldn't have arrived in such a place. So your bike should be able to do it. And then when you return, you find that you have to go through even more undulations and broken patches. Then your bike should be able to do it with aplomb, like I'm doing just now. Not a thing that I felt. Normal everyday bikes can do it, but they will do it with a lot of difficulty. They might even damage some of the components if you venture into such roads. But that should be the criteria which should meet my today's topic of choosing the kind of bike that you would like to possess as the only one machine for your everyday use as an urban rider.
So that's the lovely machine, the khaki green color Scrambler 400X. So as you know, my friends, my previous vehicle has been the BMW G310 GS, and I have ridden it for quite some distance, 25,000 kilometers, retained it for almost 1.5, close to 2 years. And now I've switched over to the Scrambler 400X. And the thing that has been playing on my mind is which is better, or which is better suited for the urban riding conditions in India. Now these are motorcycle formats which are very popular in the United States and in the European nations, particularly England and Germany, France, etc. But you know, they have recently been picking up this format of motorcycling in India, and that is the reason I am going to talk today about at length. I've done some research about this format of motorcycle, the Scramblers and the ADVs, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit in detail. But of course, I'm not talking about the big Scramblers and the big ADVs that we have in those countries. I'm going to talk about this segment, the 300 to 400cc segments, which is the most practical segment according to me for a country like us. So, good morning, friends. As I said, today I'm going to talk about a very interesting thing that has been playing on in my mind since I actually made a purchase of my Scrambler 400X, the Triumph. And as you know, I have been riding the BMW G310 GS, which is essentially, as people call it, an ADV format of bike or an adventure vehicle. So they are very close to each other. And incidentally, after having ridden an ADV and moved on to the Scrambler, I wanted to know something about the history of this motorcycle. What I found is basically, the popularity of Scramblers, I mean, factory-made Scramblers, to be precise, started picking up in England sometimes, or in the Europe sometimes in the 1960s. But the art of scrambling motorcycles has been preparing, or making Scrambler motorcycles has been quite popular much before that, sometime in the 1920s, when people used to do racing with their normal street motorcycles. And essentially the race was meant was about reaching the fastest you can from point A to point B. It didn't matter which route you took, so there were not fixed routes, and therefore people did some adjustments with the suspension of the vehicles. They reduced a lot of weight, they did some adjustment with the tires, and they turned them into makeshift Scramblers basically, so that they could take the beaten track and they were not forced to go on the standard tarmac road. and that's how the art of scrambling or the art of dirt motorcycles, they are very close cousins of each other, actually came up. And then mainstream manufacturers like Triumph and BMW, they started picking up, and Ducati, they started picking up, making a business case out of this format of motorcycles. But essentially what I mean is that scramblers are supposed to be racers. They are supposed to be close to cafe racers. I don't know if you know what cafe racing means. So cafe racing is also an art which had picked up in Europe in that era, basically, where people used to race from one cafe to another. But that was on the tarmac. But scramblers were supposed to do the B roads and the dirt roads to some extent. And that's when in the 1960s, the Triumph actually started inventing the genre of scrambler motorcycles. But then after that, people wanted something more serious, and they started coming up with the dirt bikes, and that's when the scrambler motorcycles actually took a back seat at some point of time. And then came the adventure motorcycles again, because the adventure motorcycles were more purposeful. They had a longer travel suspension. They were larger, bigger, heavier machines. They were able to do cross countries or continents actually, and it actually became famous from the house of BMW and the GS series, Gelandestrasse as they call it, which means road or no road. It can go in any kind of road basically. So now you know that it's probably the most famous adventure motorcycle that has been. But since we are Indians, we are limited by our resources and by the kind of infrastructure we have. I think this 300 to 400 cc segment makes a very good case for our usage, kind of usage that we have on a day-to-day basis. And therefore, I had purchased my BMW G310 GS, which had a significantly longer travel suspension, about 170 mm of suspension travel, probably, or 180 mm of suspension travel. Uh, and it had significantly higher ground clearance, and of course the tires were little of a better compound. But then came suddenly Triumph, and it kind of blown away all the equations that the traditional, the adventure motorcycles had actually created in our country. But mind you, the start of adventure motorcycling in India, as far as I remember, actually started with a brand called from Hero, called the Hero Impulse. It was not very popular at that point of time, but it was the first real ADV that actually came into existence in India way back 10, 15 years back. But then, of course, now you know the very popular category in the entry-level adventure segment is the Hero X Pulse. The 200, people talk about the X Pulse 400 also, which is going to come in. We are in for good times, definitely. But right now, the options we have in front of us is the Triumph Scrambler and the adventure vehicle formats like the Himalayan or the GS, etc., that we have in front of us, or the adventure bike. But then we also have the Scrambler. So essentially what was playing on my mind is that which makes more sense for the Indian riding conditions? Is it the Scrambler or is it the adventure bike? They're not very different. They are close cousins of each other. Adventure bikes are more purposeful. They can do more rough terrains. Scramblers are supposed to be more dual purpose. But from my experience of riding the GS as well as the Scrambler 400X, I would say that the Scrambler is probably the best motorcycle suited for my kind of usage case. And if I am to identify with most of the peoples living around me, my friends, etc., living around a city like Bangalore, Kolkata, Delhi, or Chennai, I think 90% of us will fall in the same usage category. We do 60-70% of our rides in the city, where we need a motorcycle which is fast enough, has a good pickup. We need a motorcycle that can go to the B roads, do some amount of off-roading or bad roading. We need a motorcycle that can help you secrete some of your endorphins when we want to do those the traffic signal, MotoGPs kind of thing, and occasional situations when you actually go for that occasional highway ride with your friends and you would like to hit the rev limiter from time to time, although not advisable for our kind of roads, but these motorcycles are quite capable of hitting triple digit speeds with a lot of ease. But always wear good riding gear. That's my advice, like I'm wearing even now. And therefore, my contention at this point of time, after having ridden both the formats of vehicle, is that adventure bikes are good if you would like to do some kind of an extreme off-roading from time to time, but 90% of us don't do that. Even I don't do that. For any other format of off-roading, I think the Scramblers are good enough. Advantage with the Scramblers are that they are more sleek. they have less volume, they have less bulk. I'm not saying they're lighter. In fact, my Scrambler 400 is 10 kilos heavier than my GS, but still it feels more nimble within the city. The reason is that they have got more compact proportions. And if you go back to the history of scramblers, that's what scramblers were supposed to be. They were supposed to have a minimalistic design, a small fuel tank, not a lot of fuel reserve, a small headlamp, you know, and minimal bodywork. Whereas if you look at the adventure bikes, they're supposed to have large bodywork. They're supposed to, be able to carry a lot of luggage with you because you're supposed to do long distances across cities, across countries on those bikes. I mean, of course, scramblers can also do it, and today there are a lot of options of traveling with a minimalistic kind of luggage. But scramblers are essentially meant to win beauty contests. Basically, they're beautiful machines. If you look at the Ducati Scrambler or the Triumph Scrambler 1200, I mean, they're lovely machines, beautiful machines. You can take it to a cafe and still be as stylish as when you take it off the road and do the B roads and the dirt roads. So I think for our usage case in this segment that I'm talking about, scramblers make perfect sense. We don't have a lot of options. We have the Himalayan Scrambler, the Royal Enfield Scrambler, Scram 411, which actually was the first one to come in this category. And we have the SD Scrambler, which also looks beautiful, but for some reason it didn't pick up. It's not doing great numbers. Probably the service network, probably what, I don't know. I'm yet to ride the SD Scrambler. But suddenly that then came up the Triumph Scrambler, and I think it's doing decent numbers. There has been a huge amount of craze about it, primarily because of its good low-end grunt, the very compact proportions, very good rideability inside the city limits, and it, of course, it looks beautiful. So that is my opinion. Now it's up to you which format of motorcycling suits you best. But for me, the Scrambler is good enough for my purpose, and it will probably be the only motorcycle I will need for all kind of usage case that I may face from day to day. Existence in a city like Bangalore or Mumbai or whatever. So that's my opinion. I leave it to you to comment in the comment section as to what you feel about it, scramblers or ADVs, which makes more sense for you. And do follow my channel and do subscribe to my channel for hearing or listening to more videos like this. Of course, I've got access to my Scrambler now. I'll be sharing more ride reviews about how is life living with the Scrambler on a day-to-day basis. How is life living with the Scrambler off the road, extreme off-road conditions, moderate off-road conditions, on the highway, inside the city. I will be sharing detailed reviews of mine. Has there been it so far? I have completed the first service, 1,000 kilometers, no problems at all. Fantastic. I've accessorized it adequately. Shortly, I'll be going out for some long rides, multi-day rides, and I'll be sharing my experience with you. As of now, for the upcoming Sunday, I'm waiting for the World Motorcycle Day gathering in Bangalore, and I hope to see some of you over there if you're excited about the brotherhood of motorcycling. But do hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you like the content that I create. Ciao.